what it is! How's it going, everybody? Today we're going to be talking about Wonka, the newest movie to hit the screen that's talking about that crazy guy that runs the chocolate factory. Once had a kid go over there because of a golden ticket or something. It makes no difference, because this time we're going to find out the myth behind the legend, and we're going to talk about all the things. We're going to talk about the chocolate, the madness, the magic, and of course, those little Oompa Loompa creatures. We're going to talk about the whole thing. So if you want to hear what we have to say, sit back, relax, grab a snack, grab a beverage, and listen on in to the first ones to die.
Hey everyone, welcome to the First Ones to Die podcast. We got a little bit of underscore intro music going on for this week. This is our end of the year. This is what happens at the end of the year. We just go off the rails. Welcome back to the First Ones to Die. We hope you're having a great week so far, whether you're listening to this at the beginning of the week, the middle of the week, the end of the week. We hope your week is good nonetheless. I'm here with Alex and Jerome. How are y'all doing today? How are you doing, Alex?
Oh, great. I have multiple things to show you guys because I'm really excited about it. But first, my mom came to town, which is why we didn't do the podcast last week, and because of Jonathan's stuff too, but he'll get to that. It was really nice to have my mom in town for the week. She came for my sister's birthday, which was on Thursday, and my sister, for her birthday, I took her to see the Blackhawks versus the Krakens, Seattle Krakens. It was so freaking cool. We were like really up in the nosebleed sections, but it was still so like visible and so good. And we had these like bunch of kids behind us. They're like about 6 boys, maybe like 11 to 10 to 9. They were adorable. They knew the game so well. I was kind of listening into the conversation when they were explaining stuff. I was like, all right. So you don't want to do this. That's a penalty. Got it. I can figure this out. But like hockey was actually pretty good. I've never really gotten into the sport until the Blackhawks started to win the Stanley Cup back in, it was like 2010, 2011. But it was really fun. She got free nachos because we told the concessions people, she's like, it's my first game. I'm like, it's her birthday too. And they're like, well, we can't charge you. They're like, we just can't. I was like, that is so sweet. So we got some, nice. Yeah, we got some nice loaded nachos, and Seahawks won 7-2. I'm sorry, Seahawks. Seattle Krakens won 7-1.
Because the Seahawks have not been winning.
Did the Seahawks win?
They have not.
Sunday.
Actually, wait. I didn't watch the game today. Oh no, the game's tomorrow. But Seahawks have not won like the last 4 games.
Yeah, they have not.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I was kind of sad the Blackhawks didn't win a little bit because that's still my hometown. But seeing how we go to like all the games with Seattle versus Chicago ain't doing so well. So it wasn't a surprise. It was more like come on, man. Like your all's teams used to be up there. Now y'all.
Listen, I know your pain. My Panthers have not been. This has been a terrible season for us. This season in football, we are now Jet status of just one of the worst teams in the NFL right now. We need to rebuild. We got to start from the ground up. Fire everybody. Fire the coach. Fire all the players. Just start over. Burn it down. Scorch earth style. Start over.
It's kind of that energy right now where it's like, yeah, I'm from Chicago. But I have to be like, I don't really watch sports, so I don't know what's going on over there. You got to lie a little bit. Be like, don't ask me about my team right now, please. But it was actually so much fun and really cool to watch. And I think I like hockey now. And
do you see yourself going to a game in the near future?
If I can afford it, yes. Those tickets are expensive. Even though it was through a mutual acquaintance that I got the tickets from, they were still expensive. Those tickets are insane, which I don't know why they need to be, but it was still so much fun. I was really excited to take her, and I think she had a good birthday. But I wanted to also show you guys a couple things. While my mom was in town, we went to Polsbo, and I don't know if you guys know about radiation glassware.
Like were you like glass blowing? Is that what you're talking
No. Radiation. So, back in the time, like the radiation girls, they used to use uranium and other radiation materials to paint glassware and stuff.
Oh. Ooh.
The cool things about radiation is it glows under black light.
Ooh.
Ooh.
So I have a radioactive teacup. Actually, I have 4 of them.
Wow, why is that like perfect for you? That
I don't know how to take that, but you know what? At the same time, it's like Alex having radiation glassware makes sense. It's not poisonous and actually not like toxic radiated, but it's really just cool to see because of how much it glows. And now I'm gonna go
really
find
cool.
one. Yeah, I love it. And we went to Poulsbo and I found it. And the second thing I wanted to show you guys was I got this a couple weeks ago, but I kept forgetting about it. It's me as a Funko Pop.
Oh my god!
Why you changed your profile pic? But I was like,
oh,
I forgot about that. But it'd be with a little coffee cup and
cool.
a little cheddar came with it.
Nice.
Oh my gosh!
I love this thing. I was laughing so hard because I do come up with a box with your name. And you can write something on the back, like they do with the sayings. I'm going to put no because that's often what I say first. But I had this around my desk for a long time. And anytime, can I help you? You're early today. He's early for his disruption.
I was like, I heard my name, so I'm coming over.
I'm going to go ahead and just plop you down.
He saw his wax figure.
He's got a little wax figure. But yeah, it was really cute. And then I'm just in love. Every time I see this, it makes me smile so much. And it's so funny. And then I learned the little pants.
Did you order it online?
Yeah.
Your legs.
You can trade out the legs for different pants. Yeah, I ordered it online. I was just talking with coworkers one day, and I was talking about the Funko Pops, and I was like, oh, you can make your own. And we went on the website, and we kind of did it. And I'm like, oh, but I like it so much. I'm like, I'm not going to do it. I mean, there's no reason to. It's nonsense. And somehow I ended up buying it right then and there. And I was like, all right, I got it. I couldn't resist. It's just so cute. And now little Alex is in a Richie.
You go, that's how they get you, because you see it and you're like, ooh,
nomination. Yeah, no, because you're doing it for fun. You're like, this is fun, this is cool, right. And then you're like, oh, but it kind of looks like me, and it's cute, and it's a Funko, and I love Funkos if you don't know, and I also got a Funko Dracula.
Oh, nice.
So
how much was your custom Funko to make of yourself?
It was only $40.
Oh, that's not bad.
Okay.
Yeah, and somebody else made a custom one of their own, and because they had not ordered from Funko before, they got a 10% discount because they did the sign up thing.
Okay.
So you can even get a discount for it. But it's really cool, and I love little Funko Alex, and now Funko Alex is sitting in a radiation teacup.
Nice.
So those were the things I wanted to show you guys that was really exciting, especially about the teacup. And I love that you said it makes sense for me. It does. It's a little bit of dangerous mixed with a little bit of sweet. Aww.
So, I feel like that describes you perfectly.
Thank you. I don't know how I'm dangerous, but I swear I'm very nice all the time.
You'll be pulling that sword out from nowhere, all right, Alex? Don't
it's a machete. Get it right.
It's a machete. It is. It's actually with arm's reach right now. It is at ready at all times. Other than that, but yeah, I spent most of the week with my mom, which was great. We did Poulsbo. We did a lot of walking around. Celebrated my sister's birthday, and it was just nice to have her around. And I miss her, so it was good to see her because I didn't get to see her earlier this year, which sucks. So, but now I have my place all back to myself, which is also kind of nice because for anybody who listens or anybody that knows, I live in a very, very tiny studio apartment, a micro studio that is not built for 2 people. Absolutely not. Constantly I'd be like, you have to sit down so I can go back and forth to do things. Like, we have to be out of each other's way. But I will miss her. How has your guys' week been? Jerome, how you doing?
Doing good. I've been playing a lot of video games. I'm replaying God of War right now, which is fun. But also a big shout out to Baldur's Gate winning Game of the Year at the Game Awards. which was the weirdest year for the Game Awards, because to call it an award show is to give it a little too much credit. Like, it was mostly just E3 with some awards thrown in, because most of the time was spent just revealing new games that are coming out either this year, like in next year, or 2025. Speaking of games coming out in 2025, also everyone's still jazzing, and it broke records about that GTA 6 trailer. Everyone's excited for that, and I myself included, especially because I was like, I don't know how much research they did, but damn it if they haven't nailed Florida, like, like
Oh,
down
I've seen
to
all the
every
posts about that.
detail. It is Florida for, like, I mean, some of them are nods to actual things, like actual social media videos that have happened in Florida, but the lady twerking on the car, the mud, like wranglers and people who just hanging out in mud stuff, the gators just hanging out in pools and walking in gas stations, just psycho people walking around at a moment's notice, and the just amount of African American people and different body types and skin tones and colors and everything, and then like the nightlife of Miami, like it captured, like, for if the trailer is to be believed of what the game's gonna be like, it's Florida, like hardcore, which I expected no less from them, because GTA 5, which takes place in their version of Los Angeles, is Los Angeles, like down to a T. So makes sense that their next game taking place in Vice City, which is their version of Miami, would totally capture that Florida spirit and the environment of Florida. So I'm excited for that. Looks good. Also excited for it because I've been watching. I didn't get a chance to finish it because I had something to do, but I will finish it and probably do a mini review of it. I'm watching The Archies, which is a movie on Netflix, but it's a Bollywood style Archies adaptation where it takes place in India. The language spoken for majority of the movie is Hindu. Granted, there's some English thrown in there too, because this is it takes place in around that time period when England has left India. But all the characters are the same: Archie, Veronica, Betty, Jughead, all of them. They're all there. It's just, and it's a musical too, so it's just great. It's
I
really
love
fun.
Bollywood musicals. They're so
It's
good.
a long movie. It's 2.5 hours long, but it still is. It's a good film from what I've seen so far. I can't wait to watch the rest of it and finish it. It's just great. It's just a great time. And speaking of things on Netflix, also finished Squid Game.
Dang, you stole one of mine. But no, let's get
Yeah,
into it.
I finished it, and I have to say, at first I was like, all right, whatever. It was a bit of a lackluster ending for me, but for different
The
reasons.
last episode was not great.
Yeah, but I will say also, though, I've been more interested as of late after
Spoiler
watching
alert
the
for
show.
Squid Game.
Yeah, come
Huh?
on. I haven't watched it.
No, I'm not gonna spoil.
Oh, okay. Okay, I won't spoil it either.
No, you can spoil it. It's fine. I take forever to watch things. It's understandable.
No, I mean, yeah, the finale is not amazing, but it's a finale. It ends.
But up until then, it was amazing.
Yeah, and then but I've been more interested, if anything else, than watching the many contestants from Squid Game, some of which who were the famous people, and some of which were just like the background folks talking about the terrible conditions they were under, like competing, which is funny because there's like an after credits stinger in the finale that is basically just an advertisement to be like, hey, you want to be in Squid Game? Go to this website and submit for season 2. And I'm like,
season 2 is coming.
You have the nerve to ask people to sign up for season 2 when all these contestants from season 1, all they can talk about is, yeah, it was trash being there. They didn't feed us right. We were in the cold, and we were in so much pain. There wasn't enough stuff there.
But that's literally Squid Game.
Yeah. Okay,
from
okay,
the
Steve,
from the show.
The thing that's funny is I'm like, so it was like Squid Game.
Right. This is the thing. So, and they at the after the last episode, Netflix, they have a behind the scenes episode talking about like the making of the show and everything. They filmed it in England. They filmed they filmed Red Light, Green Light in like an airport hangar because that's the only space that would be big enough to have like a football field size area where they can film.
Yeah, because it's
And
CG bodies for the actual show, I think, for a lot of the like bodies piling up and stuff.
Yeah, and like and apparently I didn't watch all of the behind the scenes episode. I just watched like the first 10 minutes, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm done. But they
Kind of
I heard that they use stunt doubles for the bridge game. Like when they would drop people, those were stunt doubles that were falling and not the actual contestants because it was too much of like a safety risk. So
That makes sense.
those were stunt doubles that were falling. So like you hear some of the behind the scenes stuff. It's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. They were in England in like the winter time. So of course it's going to be cold. And I feel like the discourse for Squid Game, at first it was like, oh my gosh, everyone's talking about Netflix, what are y'all doing? These players faced horrible conditions. And then it kind of turned and it was like, one, this is what y'all signed up for. Did you watch the show? You need $14.99 for a next Netflix subscription. Do your homework before you go on the show. And two, this is for $4.56 million. What, you just expected to live at the Ritz-Carlton, all right, for 2.5
I mean,
weeks for $4 million?
I gave them a pat. Like, I do understand what they meant for, like, because like one example is the girl we were talking about in the last episode, Alex, about the girl who squatted and she was in so much pain and then she passed out or whatever. Apparently, like the way they cut it in the show, it makes it look like it was like, I don't know, 5 minutes and then she just passed out. Apparently, she was in that position for like almost 40 and that's why she quit. She was like, and so they cut down a lot of the like amount of time for some of the things. And I only say it that way because that's one of the major complaints a lot of the contestants had, where they're like, it's freezing. It's why a lot of them had their hands in their pockets too. Mm-hmm. It's not because they're trying to hide their hands. It's because they're so cold they had to warm up their hands.
You know, all I can think every time I hear something more about the Squid Games, like now with the body doubles, I've heard a lot of like, oh, terrible conditions, but they actually, you know, it was cold. It's England in winter, I get it. Is how far we've come from the reality show we grew up with. Does anybody remember original Fear Factor? They had them eating testicles. They had these people trapped in a car in water, hoping that their partner possibly would save them. They had them in cages,
in cockroaches,
in worms and spiders, and be like, make sure you don't move. And there was that weird game from Ireland or Scotland that nobody talks about ever again, where they actually had like even a train of stinky cheese right in front of them, and if they vomited or flinch, oh, don't flinch or something like that. They had like a washer swing this close to their nose, and if the person would, of course, flinch, they got out of the game. But it's like, that was a washer. I mean, mechanical issues could have happened, and that washer could have crushed our head like nothing. But these people were chilly and had to keep their hands in their pocket. And they didn't get a cookie with their lunch.
I think the biggest thing was that, like, that also, for me, the only thing that I was like, that kind of makes sense, because I thought about that, is that apparently there were certain characters on the show, like some of the, like, people that we actually did get to know, that the show would keep around. Like, they would get eliminated, but then, like, the show would be like, no, you're not eliminated, actually. You're sticking around. Because, like, for the narrative, which I was like, yeah, but here's my thing. I'm like, them people complaining about that, or like, it's not fair. I'm like, it's a reality TV show. It was literally not fair the second you signed up.
Yeah.
If that is the case, which I've heard that as well, I haven't like seen any specific or heard any specific stories yet. But if that is the case, that is a little sus. Because, you know, games do have rules, but also you have contracts, and in the contract it most likely says the producers could basically do whatever they want. So
my thing is, I'm like, while I had fun watching the show, it really shouldn't exist. Like, it is kind of a disingenuous addition to a show that is supposed to be about like how like about society and how like a lot of people could be so destitute that they would do anything for money, even go as far as to be in a blood game. And for you to turn that into a reality TV show that really only exists for our entertainment and nothing else, doesn't even have anything to say about society really, like it's kind of proving the point. Like, you know what I mean?
It's proving that we would all accept the Hunger Games as reality.
I mean, that's true. There's people who probably just like, if people did die on this show, I feel like their viewership would go down a little, but not by much.
I think it'd actually go up, to be honest.
It would probably go up.
People are insane.
Yeah. Well, at the end, they had to show the little clips of everybody living their lives just to show, like, hey, these people are still alive. All right, because you know they're gonna be those people out there. But the one thing I really got annoyed with people complaining about is, and I won't reveal who the winner was, but when it was, there was an article and there were stories out there that said the winner hadn't received their money yet, and this was like a couple days after the finale had aired. Y'all, in reality competition TV shows, when the TV show is filmed like months or year plus before it airs, the person who wins usually does not get the money until after the show airs, because one, there's rules in like the contract and stuff, and two, you don't want the person to be buying a big old house and then it'd be like, oh, where did that person get that money from? They must have won.
Because a lot of the apparently a lot of the contestants that they say were like the game was rigged for were social media people who are like are not necessarily like that's their job, but just people who have like clear social media followings, or like they're big on social media and they have like at least a good chunk of followers or something like that. So it's likely that, you know, whoever would have won, there's a possibility they could have possibly been like bragging about, oh man, I just bought a mansion with all my Squid Game money, and meanwhile the show isn't even out yet. Right. So like you can't risk that.
I remember one of the dating shows back in the early 2000s. I forget which one it was. They were talking about how they weren't allowed to see each other up until 6 months before their like reunion special. They're like, yeah, we weren't allowed to see each other. We could call each other, but we weren't allowed to be seen in public. We weren't allowed to go to each other's home to do a contract. We weren't allowed to do anything. And I think they were like, you get like a trip to blah, 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 because you ended up together. We didn't get to do that until almost 6 months after the premiere. And then everything started slowly trickling in. And we were allowed to be in couple in reality. And they're like, it was super hard to become a couple after all this magical moment. Now it's like, I get to have a phone call and a FaceTime with them. Well, not a FaceTime, but like a video chat at the time. Because they just weren't allowed to do that. And yeah, I think people don't think about that. It's all, one, it's contract. It's what you're signing up to do. And two, it's also for the winner not to... I mean, people are crazy back then, and they're crazier now with trying to figure out who would win. So they would be they were probably scrutinizing everybody who was a social media person. Like, I wonder if they got that from their winnings. That's a little expensive. How do you think they bought that? People would try to look for every single clue to find out if that person was like the winner or not.
Right.
It's true.
Yeah.
So overall,
in other words, we're a Netflix Defenders podcast. But
absolutely.
I mean,
Netflix
my thing is, I'm just like,
price changes.
I don't feel bad because I'm just like, you know what I mean? Like it's a reality TV show. At the end of the day, none of these people are out of a job when they left the show. Like they all still get to keep their lives, go back home, and be perfectly fine. And nobody died. So all things considered, it's whatever. But yeah, that's pretty much been my week. Oh yeah, I've been playing a lot of the finals as well. Speaking of the Game Awards, they announced that the season 1 came out, and it's been a lot of fun. And if you're listening to this podcast and you play the finals on PS5 more specifically, but there is cross-platform, so whatever you play it on, let me know. I'd be down to play with you.
What is the finals?
It's a competitive shooter. Kind of like something like Fortnite or Apex Legends. This one's first person shooter though, so not like Fortnite in that way, but it's a heist shooter where you as in a team of 3 are competing to steal a like vault of money and protect it and keep other players from stealing same money. But also the cool thing about the game is the entire world is destructible. So like for example, the cash out boxes where you take the vault to like get the money, it might be on the second floor of a building and you're like, we need to steal it. How do we do that? No problem. Blow up the whole second floor. Now it's on the first floor. Or you're just like, we need to protect it. We need to cover it in rubble. No problem. Blow out all the walls. Now the whole building is just rubble sitting on top of the thing or whatever. So there's like, it's really fun to just kind of crash through walls, blow up stuff. And at the same time, it can be very competitive. It can be really intense. I have won a few games and stuff.
Hey.
And getting better. I'm still learning like on how to get good, but I enjoy it. It's a really fun game, and I'm glad that it's doing well with a lot of people playing it. So, I'm open to building a team. I just gotta like make time and find people willing to play it.
Cool. And how are you doing, Jonathan? How's your week been?
Good. As I was talking with you guys before the episode, it's been hectic, but I'm glad that we are moving into a new week and moving into the holiday week. And surprisingly, this upcoming week should be a little less hectic. On Tuesday, I told Alex and Jerome, but I can't tell the audience yet. I hate to be that guy. But just know that I had a career highlight moment. And it was really great. And I'll talk about it maybe in like a year's time on the podcast. And I know that's annoying, but that is what it is. And then that same day, I also got to meet through work, through an event that we held at work. I got to meet 5 of the players from this past season from Big Brother because they came to the event at work, and it was great. So shout out to Riley, Matt, Blue, Bowie Jane, and Jag, the winner of Big Brother 25, who all came. I got to meet them and chat with them. So that was really awesome. And then the rest of the week has been occupied by my show that I've been doing. It's called On the Farce Day of Christmas. It's at the Little Fish Theater in San Pedro, California. If you care to come, and I know we have some California listeners on the podcast, so show up. We got one more weekend.
That felt like the softest threat ever.
Sometimes the soft threats are the scariest.
It's like the most gentlest threat. Get over here now.
But that was it. That's my week. I've also been talking about how many movies I've been wanting to watch and have watched none of them.
Same. I have.
Speaking of movies, actually, I want to see. Despite the reviews have not been good so far, but I still am going to watch it. Is Rebel Moon coming out on Netflix?
I've seen so much advertising about that, and it does not.
I haven't seen anything about it.
It's the new Zack Snyder epic that's supposed to be 2 movies, each one 4 hours long.
Is it animated,
why,
or does it just look like that?
No, it's live action, but it does have that Zack Snyder like cartoon quality, definitely.
But why though? Why?
I think they're 4 hours each. They might be less than that, but I know they are going to be long, each of them. Like it's a 2-part movie. First part comes out this Thursday. Next part comes out in January.
You know what movie I blame for this? Titanic. Because I never remembered. I never
4-hour
remembered
before then.
What 4 hours movies before Titanic?
Gone with the Wind, Lawrence of Arabia.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
You know what I mean?
But none of them. They had their own popularity, but a lot of young people now don't remember Gone with the Wind, but they remember Titanic still, or they know of Titanic. And it's just I feel like Gone with the Wind was in its own place, and so was Prince of Arabia. But like Titanic, ever since after that movie, all these movies have gotten just longer. It's just been so much longer after that. That felt like the starter mark. Those other ones were just special on their own. After Titanic, all of a sudden the movies were no longer like 90 minutes. They're now 120, and they were just slowly creeping up more and more.
To be fair, this is a Zack Snyder problem. Zack Snyder, as of late, has not been able, outside of the Army of the Dead movies, which he didn't make Army of Thieves, but I like that movie too. But Army of the Dead, I really liked. I thought it was fun, and that movie was pretty short. Actually, it's pretty tight. But the outside of that one, his last few movies have all been ridiculously long, like Batman v Superman, or rather, the ones that make sense. Because whenever he's had to cut them down, they're terrible. But then it's like, but it's because there's scenes missing. Because for some reason, he can't tell a story shorter than like nearly 3 hours to 2.5 hours. Because like Batman v Superman, the director's cut is like close to 3 hours. Justice League is 4 hours. Like the full Zack Snyder cut was 4 hours,
which I still never watched.
And this movie,
no.
like
I will say for the Justice League movie, it could have been at least 3 hours if not everything was in slow motion. Just watch it at like 2-point speed. It'll look like a normal movie. That's how much was in slow motion.
At the same time, though, I will say Rebel Moon looks cool. I think it looks, apparently this was Zack Snyder's like Star Wars pitch, or a pitch that he had in his back pocket for what he would do if he could do a Star Wars movie. And you could tell because a lot of it looks like Star Wars. Down to the villains being basically Nazis. Like it's just like in Star Wars.
I do love a good fan fiction movie.
Yeah, so the critics not like have been giving it a hard time, but I'm still willing to watch it. I'll give it a shot. I'm not like the world's biggest Zack Snyder fan. I used to be, but after a few more times, I was like a few more movies, Sucker Punch especially. I've just been like, I mean, he's a great visual director. Like I cannot deny that the man doesn't make stuff that looks cool. But storytelling wise, he just needs a little bit of work making his characters stand out a lot more and making his stories kind of feel a bit more fleshed out, as opposed to making just moments for cool stuff to happen, but there's no rhyme or reason why. It's just cool stuff happens because I want to make cool stuff happen. So we'll see. I mean, and because I feel like the critics are being hard on the first movie, but I'm like, it's a 2-part movie, though. What if you watch the second part and it makes the first part make more sense? Like, if this movie was not meant to be 2 movies, because I felt like the same way about Dune too, where people like, I mean, we did a review of Dune, but even then I said like, I feel like Dune Part 1. Giving it a grade is kind of hard to do when we know it requires Part 2 to finish the story. So I don't know.
Well, we'll get that Part 2 in March. It's coming out in March.
Yeah, the trailers look good for it. I'm excited. I'm excited to see Austin Butler fight Timothée Chalamet, both actors who are stuck in their personas. Timothée Chalamet is sad boy, and Austin Butler is Elvis.
He's gonna have that accent.
No, this time I think he's going to be regular Austin Butler, just like in his perfume commercials right now. But anyway,
he still talks like this. So
he has a deep voice. He can't help that. He can't help that he has a deep voice.
But the drawl and the accent.
He does not have the natural drawl.
You don't know?
Yeah.
He might be from Texas. I don't know where he's
from. Did we look that up? Isn't he from like New Hampshire or something?
He's from Anaheim, California.
Yeah, Anaheim.
Okay, well he's not from Texas. That's fair. Anaheim sounds country. Just say it normal.
It does not.
Anaheim. That just sounds more natural than
you
was born in
are
the
doing
same
your best,
hometown
but
as Mickey Mouse, all right?
Yeah.
Mickey Mouse ain't got nothing to do with the South.
Are you sure? Have you seen Songs of the South? I mean,
no, and I don't want to.
Yeah.
Mickey approved that movie, all right? He stands by it.
We went on. Side note. Earlier this year, I went to Disneyland, and we went on the Splash Mountain ride for the last time before it closed down for renovations for Tiana.
Mm-hmm.
And there was about I want to say 10 to 12 of us in the group, so we had to take 2 cars. Why? And we were we were making note of look at all the racist stuff. Like even some of the words when you're in the line and stuff was like a little. Tell me why when we got on the ride, it was maybe 75% people of color, 25% white people. Tell me why all the white people did not get wet on this ride and all the people of color got drenched.
Because y'all got put in the back of the canoe.
No, what it is, it's because all the white people, they don't lotion their skin. You know, they don't know nothing about that moisturizing. All the water got soaked up in their in their ashy ass skin, and then I bet they got off that ride looking moisturized and glistened. They're like, we don't know what this feeling is. Oh my god, it's I feel refreshed. This feels like a whole new me walking out of here.
Maybe there's just a guy targeting, with one of those hose guns they use for clown heads. That's I see a few.
That's even more racist. I don't have a fire hose, but this will have to do.
I mean, looking at when the ride was made, are we surprised if they got a little baby fire hose back there?
just terrible.
I love going to things that are just slightly racist with my white friends, because either they get really defensive with me for oh, that's sweet, or they don't know how to act. They either get they're a little uncomfortable, yeah, I guess that's okay, right? Is that okay? I don't know. And I'm like, well, no, that's a slur, just an old timey slur, but that's still a slur. So no, that's not really chill. And they're like, oh, I didn't know. I'm like, well, you never got it shouted at you, did you? And then that gets them really uncomfortable, which sometimes it's just fun to see that. But all right, I see the mean and the dangerous part. I found it. I saw it. I got it.
Thinking about people that make people uncomfortable. Willy Wonka is
God,
does anybody wait?
Internet is
Wait, does anybody remember Sexy Willy Wonka from TikTok? That was the whole thing. Talking about, oh my god. I will show you guys that later. For a while of course it was during the start of the pandemic where everybody was quarantined and going absolutely insane. There was a young man, dressed up as...
just like the Johnny Depp Willy Wonka?
Yeah.
I maybe have seen him once, but I vaguely remember this.
People were going feral for Sexy Willy Wonka, dressed in the Johnny Depp outfit, no shirt. Creeped me the hell out, of course. So that was something that was burned into my mind as a history of people that I will never forgive.
Well, we're reviewing Wonka. I didn't know how to transition out of there. So.
You can't. I'll make sure you can't.
We're reviewing Wonka.
Oh, Gibson, no, that's my cord to my internet.
Well, Jonathan, before you go, we have the general section to go through the spoilers. So Gibson will have to wait to destroy your computer entirely.
As both his paws are on your chest, too.
Exactly. But yeah, so we saw, 2 of us saw Wonka this past weekend. And we have a review for those who are new to the podcast. First of all, welcome. I hope you haven't left. I'm sure you're just like, when the hell are they going to start talking about Wonka?
We should start putting timestamps.
Look, I was really excited about my radioactive teacup. Okay. Couldn't help it.
No, it's. I think we talked more about Squid Game than we did your.
Talk about to the Squid Game. Anyway,
Wonka. We saw. 2 of us saw Wonka.
Yeah. But and how we do our reviews is that we give a general discussion, basically no spoilers, just telling you our general thoughts. If we like the movie, not like the movie, why. And then after that, we're going to go into full spoilers. So if you have seen the movie, you can hear our detailed thoughts about things we specifically liked or didn't like. And if you haven't seen the movie and you just don't care about spoilers, you can just be around and listen to us joke about a movie you have nothing have no context for.
Yeah, and technically Wonka being a prequel, you kind of know how the story is going to end.
Do you though? Because no, you don't.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
But general thoughts. Alex, go first. What'd you think about Wonka?
Well, first off, I saw Wonka with my mom, even though at first she was like, God, no. And then she was like, I'm sorry I rejected it so harshly. I was like, it's fair.
Is it because she saw the TikTok and she was like, I like, you know what, I did come off a little hot.
She did love your reaction, Jerome. She loved how hard you laughed at it. But she loved your guys' reaction to her saying God no to Wonka. She was just like, well, I was like, yeah, I'll go see it alone. She's like, oh, I don't want you to see it alone. I'll suffer. I'm like, cool. Thank you for suffering through the movie for me. But she actually ended up enjoying it. I did too. I was surprised how much I actually enjoyed Wonka. Because going into this, I know it's a prequel, but Wonka does creep me out. I am one of those people who get creeped out by Wonka. And I wasn't creeped out by this Wonka.
But is it because of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory or Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory? Because those are two different vibes with Willy Wonka.
Both.
I feel like the Gene Wilder Wonka is like definitely scary, but he's got a reason. He's insane.
Wonka feels like one of those candies are going to drug me, and I'm going to have a psychedelic trip. Johnny Depp's Willy Wonka, that man wears too much leather for me to be comfortable around. Okay?
That's the issue.
No, there's a lot more issues.
Other things that should be a problem with Johnny Depp's Willy Wonka before the leather.
I removed the head. I de-headed myself. No, that's like one of the reasons. I found out I can remove the head pretty easily.
I see. Oh, you just decapitated yourself.
Finally. There's a lot of reasons I have a problem with Johnny Depp.
The Funko Pop for the audio listening audience. She decapitated.
If I decapitated myself, I would not be able to speak.
You don't know that.
I'm pretty sure because my vocal cords would be detached. Right? Yeah. I'm assuming. Yeah. Why am I questioning that? Yeah. I don't know why I just questioned that. But anyway, I actually had a really good time. It was actually very sweet. I love the music in it. The music was surprisingly good. I think I was just surprised by how much I enjoyed it. But the music was good, and the storyline was good, and all the characters, all the actors did really well to their characters. There were two characters. There's one particular character. It'll probably come to a surprise to everybody that I liked, because he was just funny. And I'll expand more on that when we're doing the spoiler section. But yeah, I had a good time, and my mom had a good time, so that should be a good review for that from a woman who said God no to, hey, yeah, I liked it. What about you, Jerome?
From Alex's mom.
Yeah.
For me, I do like it, but I will say there are still some minor things about it that that keep it from being like great to me, because I feel like it was very middle of the road for me. And not for anything like major though. It's just that I think like I think it maybe boils down to mostly Timothée Chalamet's performance. Not that he's bad, he's not, but it's just that he's not yeah, that's pretty much what it is. Is that it's like, because like his singing for me was like not strong enough to be like the lead. Because like, I was like, he's not a bad voice, but I'm like, and you know what it might be? It might be that I like recently I've been watching some more musicals. Like I just said, I watched the Archies, rewatched Dreamgirls not too long ago. And so when I look at those movies and I look at musicals, I'm just like, a lot of the leads, they can really sing because they have to be. They're the lead. They're the ones kind of more or less carrying the movie because they're the main character throughout most of the damn movie. Timothée Chalamet gets most of the songs in here. And for him to get most of the songs, he don't really do much with them as far as like his vocal range. Now, granted, that's not his fault. He can only sing as good as he can sing. And he doesn't have a bad voice. It's pretty good. But it's just nothing that's like amazing. It's the same thing with like, and his like same thing with his performance, where I was like, I get what you're trying to go for, this idea of like Willy Wonka's kind of crazy and also kind of aloof, but he's still hopeful and cheerful. And there's times where the crazy part just feels like it kind of comes out of nowhere. Like it's not like it was written for the scene, but it doesn't necessarily flow with who his character is in certain parts of the movie. And so I it was hard to gauge like what they were going for. But overall, I think the supporting cast helps a lot. The supporting cast of this movie is pretty strong. One girl in particular, the character of Noodle, played by, and I have the list here. Hold on. Why is she so low on the list? IMDb, what the hell? Kala Lane is her
Racist.
name. No, there's some black people ahead of her. It's just but she was great. I really enjoyed her performance as Noodle, and I think she helped balance out the cast very well with like, because she's the person who gets the second most amount of screen time. Also, Hugh Grant is great. For the little bit of screen time he gets, he was pretty good as a Oompa Loompa. And I appreciate that they don't rely too much on fan service in this movie. Like, if you have seen the old Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, specifically that movie, because this movie does not reference Charlie and the Chocolate Factory at all. They're like, we want nothing to do with that movie. In fact, act like that movie doesn't exist. We are strictly pulling from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory type stuff. But they don't pull too much, just really just like a little bit of the music from that movie. And I would say kind of the aesthetic a little bit more. But for the most part, like they don't rely on that, which is cool. I really respect that a lot, that they're kind of like, no, we're going to tell our own movie, make it work. The direction this movie is great. It's just really beautiful. A lot of the musical numbers are great. And Keegan-Michael Key also stand out.
Yeah,
I like his performance.
He was so surprised to be in there.
Yeah.
I am just wondering why they did not do some sort of promotion where, like, if you like golden ticket promotion, there's actual Wonka bars out there, and maybe they did, but if they did, it was not successful because it didn't go viral. Nobody knew about it.
I wonder if it's because I wonder if it's because they were like, like this taking place so early in the career, like they wouldn't find a way to make it make sense, like with the story of the movie.
Wonka.
But that's a major stretch for me. I'm not saying that's the reason. It's just that is the reason, it's a really large stretch if that would be the reason, because like it's just still Willy Wonka though. There's like he's known for three things: his costume, the like chocolate, and the golden ticket. Those are like the three major things. Well, I'd say the factory too, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that somersault.
Oh yeah. The sixth somersault is like,
it's like, what happened?
Willy Wonka. Also, the villains in this movie are awesome. I really enjoyed the villains. One dude in particular, the like main chocolate cartel guy, he was great. What's his name? Patterson Joseph. Great actor. Just so eats up all the scenery. It's really
no
good.
pun intended.
So overall, I still am giving this a positive review. It's just the minor things that I think keeps it for me from being like an A+ movie. But it's not bad. It's not a bad film, and I think it's a great film for your family. You know, if you have your, you want to do something with your kids over Christmas weekend or whatever, watch Wonka. And then if you want to, do something with your black friends, then go watch The Color Purple. Make a double feature out of it.
I mean, no, go ahead. I was gonna make a joke, but probably better I don't. I gotta learn my limits.
And I am excited to watch it.
I was about to say, Jonathan, what's your review of the Wonka trailers that you've seen so far?
What's your general thoughts of the Wonka trailers?
I have not watched really the Wonka trailers. But from what
you will be happy.
The images from what I've seen of the imagery, I think I'm gonna like it.
You will be happy to know, while I was at the AMC theater, though, they have cut down the Nicole Kidman trailer.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
They've cut it down dramatically, and then also they've taken to putting it in front of the, like, if you're excited to see any of those movies, like, the silence your cell phones thing, they've put it now in front of that to just be like as AMC promotion. My thing is, I'm like, just get rid of it. How much, like, unless they spent like a god amount of money paying for it, that maybe that's why they're like, no, we will keep making this forever.
I saw they were selling, AMC is selling, I don't know if it's their online store or if somebody bought this in person, but I saw on TikTok a girl bought a backpack with the fabric of the suit that Nicole Kidman is wearing. And the caption was, AMC, why did you turn Nicole Kidman into a backpack?
They skinned her.
I like the SNL sketch about it, where it's just like Nicole Kidman basically leading a cult, like in the movie theater.
That's pretty much what the commercial is. It's yeah.
Speaking of which, sorry, a slight tangent, but I've been liking the new SNL season as of late. They've been getting some great hosts, actually.
I haven't been able to watch it, but yeah, every week I'm like, oh dang, this person. So
yeah, they just had Kate McKinnon back on this past Saturday.
I know their next one they announced is Jacob Elordi.
Oh, neat. Also, they had Kate McKinnon, but they also have Billie Eilish come back, which and do the music performance. But also, there's a sketch where it's Kate McKinnon's, the classic Kitty,
the
sketch
cat
she did,
one,
but with Billie Eilish as the opposite person, and they look just alike. And I'm like, oh man, that's great. But because Billie was great when she was a host, so
yeah, she was really good.
Yeah, she was good.
I see her. If anybody's seen her performance in Swarm, she has an acting career ahead of her as well, because she was great.
Oh yeah, she's definitely got some acting chops. I am excited to see her possibly be like actually act, and then hey, who knows? Maybe she might make the transition. Not many singers can do it, but there have been some that have. Lady Gaga's definitely trying to make that transition now. I mean, she already has kind of with A Star Is Born was the solidified thing, and then House of Gucci. But and then she's in Joker Part 2 upcoming.
She's also doing TV shows like American Horror Stories.
Yeah, American Horror Story as well. So and Justin Timberlake definitely made that transition, full transition. He wasn't even doing music at that time. He was like, I'm all in on these movie thing. This is what I want to be doing. J-Lo too. Yep. So it's possible. Ice Cube, I wouldn't say he's on the upper echelon, but he did it.
Yeah.
Same thing with Snoop Dogg, where it's like, I don't know, but
I feel like nothing compared to what Snoop Dogg does. He just does things now.
Right.
I mean, we'll just decide to just do things. He's like, I'm gonna go be a children's rapper now, and he does it. I watched his video where he did a singing kangaroo. Even
people like Janelle Monáe, even though she's doing both, but Andra Day,
she's in some really good stuff. Janelle Monáe knows how to pick some really good roles for herself.
Yeah.
But back to Wonka.
Sorry, I was gonna say. And then the last person, also Dua Lipa. She's gonna be in that movie with Henry Cavill and those other people.
Well, also in my head, I forgot we missed the major one. Will Smith.
Yeah, but was he known for music at first?
Yeah.
Yes. Parents Don't Understand was a huge hit, and Summertime.
I know, no, but he was in Fresh Prince first.
No, he wasn't. He had a music career first. All his music came out before then.
Oh.
Yeah. That's how he got Fresh Prince, is because he was a music star first. And then Quincy Jones was like, we want to make a show around this kid. And then they made the show.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, he abandoned his music career.
No, he still had Willmatic.
Name a Will Smith song that was released within the last 5 years.
No, that's in the last 5 years. He had music coming out. I mean, Wild Wild West, Men in Black, Getting Jiggy with It,
No,
Miami.
but he did.
You
He
know
did
what I'm saying?
all those songs for a TV show or movie.
Well, not
That's
Miami
true.
and Getting Jiggy with It. Those were just songs. But Men in Black, yes, and Wild Wild West for sure, definitely. And
need to talk
and
about
just the two
Wonka.
of us, though. His song about him and Jaden.
We need to
Well,
talk
actually,
about
no.
Wonka.
It's about his first son. But anyway, Wonka.
All right. With that being said,
Bye.
bye.
Don't forget to upload your audio.
Jonathan's leaving because he doesn't want to
Yes.
be spoiled for Wonka, folks. So it's
That's
going to
fair.
be the Alex and Jerome show from this point forward.
Yes. Oh, I almost pushed end recording. Let me just.
How dare you? Don't
God,
you do that.
cut us out. Get out.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
But yeah, with his departure, his premature exodus, we are going to get into the spoiler section. So if you do not want to be spoiled for Wonka, don't do what Jonathan did and just leave entirely. Pause this, then leave, then come back after you watch the movie and get the rest of this podcast goodness, because I promise you're going to want to hear what we have to say. So going into it, Alex, what was your favorite part of Wonka, you would say, since you liked it so much?
Well, Wonka actually gave me, I thought the whole movie was a little ironic. It gave me the vibe of you die young and you die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Mm-hmm.
Because immediately at the start of the movie, Wonka gets screwed over by a contract he signs, and then he does it to Charlie in the future. You know?
Well, no.
It was all about the fine print.
Charlie didn't sign a contract. He got
he did.
He got the chance to have the, or wait, no, he did say it was in fine print or something.
Yeah, it was in the fine print. You touch any of my unfinished products, you don't get the prize at the end, which is kind of what happened here. And also, they make Willy Wonka illiterate in this movie, by the way. That was the biggest surprise. That was so weird.
This movie wants to, because while yes, it's supposed to clearly tie into what will be Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka, I don't see that. You know what I mean? I mean, it's very much the same thing with Cruella to a degree, where I remember watching that movie.
The whole movie felt like Cruella.
That movie felt like Cruella, but at the same time, I was like, but I don't feel like this movie still is giving the vibe that this will be the woman who will eventually one day be willing to kill 101 Dalmatians for the sake of just having a fine ass coat.
Which is why it gives such a Cruella vibe, because it's softening, because Willy Wonka was fucking insane, so it's kind of softening what it is, the darkness that comes ahead, because Willy Wonka also allows children to be harmed. In this version, he does not. In this version, he relies on the kindness of strangers. He rallies around the people who help him. He trusts people. In Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka, he shut down the factory, banned everybody except for the Oompa Loompas, and hadn't been seen in over a decade before he finally opened up the factory again and allowed people to tour it.
Right, and mostly because he didn't trust people giving away his secrets.
Yeah, which is
he just gives chocolate out all willy-nilly and even tells them what's in it.
Yeah, which again is the irony of it, because these corporations were like, well, yeah, we're protecting our chocolate. And he's like, no, chocolate's for everybody. In the Gene Wilder one, he's like, nope, this is my candy and my specialty. You keep your hands off of it.
So it's the same thing with the Oompa Loompas too, where in this one they kind of make it where
the Oompa Loompas went willingly.
Yeah, it's more of a mutual thing. And I like the idea that they're no, we're capable. If we wanted to escape, we could, we like being here. But I'm but that's not the way it's described in the book.
Well, even in the books
or
a
the
rewrite.
Movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's a little weird. But that being said, this movie being it, is what it is, I think the aloofness of Willy Wonka and him not being able to read was a nice twist. Because I remember she's read the fine print, and then he's I heard her say something read the fine print. I'm just gonna look it over. Yep, looks in order to me and still signs. I was what the hell? What just happened? And then when they explain oh, you can't read, I'm oh, okay.
I assumed he was going to do some whimsical or magical thing, like, oh no, I read the contract and it's like all gone or something.
I thought it was going to be that he signed a different name. Like,
yeah, I thought there was going to be some way he got out of the contract.
Yeah, but I mean, like, the neat thing is that I think that the device of him kind of being so down and out, like, I do love that first song where he's got like 12 sovereigns and then he has like no sovereigns by the end of the story, was really cool. I think it was because I think it's a real great, well, the whole song really is filled with what are called like save the cat moments. Which, like, for the audience, save the cat moments means like, there's a book titled the same name about screenwriting. One of the major things they talk about in screenwriting is that you want to have your character in the first 10 minutes of the movie, like, you want to know who they are, like, in general, not necessarily the literal like know who they are, but just like know what they're about. Are they a good person, bad person? Are they you know uh
you want to make an emotional connection with them.
Yeah, are they charitable? Do they, like, if they have money, do they give it to the poor? Or do they keep it for themselves? Like, all those things. And it's so save the cat is in reference to, if there's a cat in the tree and a character walks by, do they save the cat or do they just leave them in the tree? You know what? Or if they're hanging from a rope is what it is. Like, do they save the cat or do they just let the cat fall? And that song is filled with tons of them where he's giving money to the shoe boy. He's gives money to that poor lady with her baby so she can have money to stay the night. You know, all these different really good moments are in there. And I think that's the best thing about I can say about this movie, the whimsy. It captures the whimsy and the wonder of the Willy Wonka world, especially in that sequence with him and Noodle where they sing that song together and he's like flying, which even when I saw it in the trailer, I was like, that's kind of cool with the balloons and stuff. And it just looks very majestic and all wonderful and stuff, which I wouldn't expect nothing less. This is the same director who directed Paddington's 1 and 2. So it's kind of that's his vibe. That's his jam.
I did like all the musical numbers. They were very nice.
The best thing about them, they don't overstay their welcome.
Yeah, there's not constant music playing. Like in Cruella, where there was always a song during the quiet times, they let the scene set. Sorry, I'm trying to look up the cast members.
They take their time with all the song numbers, and they don't last too long. They're always like pretty quick, pretty catchy too. Like, you know, they catch your ear immediately. But also, I love that the Imagination song from the first movie is like kind of like the underlying theme of this movie, and so every time you hear it, you like or hear those opening notes that do 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 like that. It's just like they play around with it in different versions, but it is really strong. And then when they eventually do have Timothée Chalamet sing that song at the very end, it feels earned. It feels like we've been building up to him finally becoming Willy Wonka as we know him.
And the little changes in lyrics at the end of the song don't mess with the song too. They seem fitting in there. They're well placed, and it almost feels like this is how the song goes, you know? It's not like it was like taken and mushed up, and how sometimes when they remake the songs for like prequels or stuff like that for musicals, it sounds like you're really just shoving this line in there to make it like, oh yeah, this is before, you know? But they did rewrite it so well that it was like, this sounds like its own song in its own time, which was very nice. Another thing I want to talk about was the actors that I didn't know were in this movie and that I was really surprised to see them. Like Mr. Bean.
Yeah.
Him as a priest, was it?
Yeah, cleric.
A cleric was so, like, I saw him, I was like, what are you doing there? Why are you there? And he played
in the trailer for like a minute, and I forgot that he was in there, and then when I saw him, I also was surprised, like, oh man.
I did not watch really any of the trailers because I never watch any of the trailers. I kind of just forget things and move on. But seeing him and his character was really well played. He plays a corrupt cleric who helps the cartel. which this movie has like heavy drug use vibe. It's like a children's version
Definitely,
of a
you can
drug. They literally
tell.
call it the cartel for chocolate, which is
Yeah, the
insane.
chocolate cartel, which is I like it though. I feel like it fits the vibe of Roald Dahl, where Roald Dahl books are like they are for children, but there's always this hint of like adult darkness going on at the same time. Because you look at like James and the Giant Peach, there's clearly like abuse happening, but they don't want to say that. They just want it to kind of be implied. Same thing with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, where in that book there's clear darkness going on, but they're not going
Yeah.
to say that because it's meant for children. But if you're an adult and you're reading through the lines, you can see it. And so I feel like the Chocolate Cartel, this like criminal organization, even though they're using chocolate as their main thing, you can tell that it's supposed to be a substitute for drugs. If
Yeah,
like
because they're using a corrupt church as their, like hideaway, and their dealings with the police captain who is addicted to chocolate, which is Keegan Michael Keaton.
Keegan Michael Key, yeah.
Keegan Michael Keaton, which I absolutely love that they did this. Every time you see him on screen, because he's getting paid in chocolate, he gets slightly bigger and bigger and bigger until the end of the movie. He can't get out of his car. I think that was such a
that was a
nice
great visual
detail.
gag.
That was great. I laughed so hard at the end because I was like, he just kept getting bigger and bigger. So they used him really well. But yeah, the heavy overtones that this is basically the actual cartel and everything, and the corrupt church, corrupt cleric, the corrupt police force, and how they keep a ledger of every illegal activity they've ever done. It's just also really funny. But I like how the guy, one of the cartel guys, the one dressed in yellow, trying to find his name.
Played by Matt Lucas.
He, every time they are implying something, Matt Lucas, he goes like, and they'll be met with an accident to death. Yes, thank you, Protos. Thank you for clearing that up and making everything clear for us. Like, he's constantly doing that, so it's not even that hidden underline. He's clearly stating it for everybody. We want you to have an accident. Yes, we want you to go away. Yes, that is the threat, sir. Thank you. And how
how he did it too, of like, it's like, oh, it'd be a shame if they were to have a little accident. Yes, to death. Yeah. Thank you. Prod knows him. just that like pompous, like it's all in the nose.
Yeah.
like it's a villain British.
Yeah, like he's like, I'm definitely adding to this conversation. I like Matt Lucas. I first saw him in Doctor Who. He played a character in that. So like I've known him from that, and I've seen him in a few other things. He adds everything I've ever watched him in now, he always adds to the scene. He never takes away. It's always a good comedic feel to it too, even in darker scenes, like even with Doctor Who. It's like, I like you. You're not going to be my favorite actor, but I like when I see you on screen in the scene.
I can't remember what I saw him in first, because I knew his face when I saw him, and he's been in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But I was just like, I couldn't place, like, I honestly can't place the first time I ever saw him in a movie and recognized him. But he's great. Everything he's always in, he always does a pretty decent job.
I enjoy. But Mr. Bean as the corrupt cleric was really funny to me. I don't know why. Maybe it's his facial expressions that always catch me. And the whole church scene when the giraffe gets loose. By the way, milking a giraffe was weird. I get this is supposed to be a fun, quirky movie, and you're supposed to be like, this isn't just ordinary Cosmo. Why a giraffe? That felt weird. Why not another animal? Why a giraffe?
For me, see, that wasn't as weird for me as more of it was just like things happen, but it doesn't. Like, I think that's the other part of the movie is like certain things happen that don't feel like that it really matters to the movie. Because, like, for example, like Willy Wonka tells Noodle how an orange man, which we know is Hugh Grant as the Oompa Loompa, like keeps stealing my chocolate, but it never stops him from like still being able to make a supply. In fact, it never stops him so much that the man is able, once they finally buy the damn chocolate factory, to make a giant chocolate tree complete with chocolate flowers, chocolate grass, and everything else, and cotton candy clouds and leaves and everything. No problem. so it's like this plot point is brought up, which it's used for other things, but it's just this thing where it's like, or the fact that he's like, I'm out of giraffe milk. I'm like, that's not all you're out of. There's like a whole lot of other stuff you're out of. How also, where are you getting your supply from?
That's what I kept thinking too. They were like able to get enough like candy and chocolate and stuff to open up a store, to fill an entire store.
And apparently you make it using like extremely rare and elaborate ingredients. Yeah, you're not running out at some point.
You ran out of. I just thought, I was like, why a giraffe? Who goes up to a giraffe and is like, I'm gonna milk it? I guess the same people who started milking cows.
I guess. I mean, listen, there's a lot of things that get milked in the world.
That doesn't bring a comforting thought to me. A lot of things get milked. No,
it's true.
I don't want to know what gets milked. I don't know what. I like my plant-based milks, okay? They don't hurt my tummy, and also I don't have to think about what's getting milked. Oats can't get milked. It's just ground up oat and water. That's all I'm drinking. Going to Hugh Grant's Oompa Loompa, I was shocked at how much I liked his Oompa Loompa. And even though I saw it in the trailer where he's like starts dancing, and he's like, can you not sing? He's like, nope, once we start, we can't stop. I actually laughed at that in the movie. I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. After seeing it in the actual film instead of just in the trailer, I was like, this is actually not bad. I loved
the sleep joke when he's like, well, if you're just gonna sit there, I'm gonna take a nap. Then he's just like, the slow retract back and the slow retract forward. I'm just like, that's me. If I'm like, all right, you're gonna make me have to get up, aren't you? Hold on, just wait for the chair. All right, let's talk. What's going on?
Hugh Grant's performance was actually quite funny. Also, question. So Willy Wonka goes to the Oompa Loompas island, steals the cocoa beans, and that's why Hugh Grant is chasing him, because he stole the cocoa beans and he needs to be repaid 1,000-fold. It's the Oompa Loompa law. That's why he's following him. Is he taking that chocolate back to the Oompa Loompas, or is he eating them himself? Or was that ever clarified?
No, and it's one of those things you're supposed to not think about, I suppose, because I'm like, that's a fair point. Like, he's supposed to be taking it back, but instead, I mean, we never do see him eat them. Like, we only see him like eat one, and then he's like, it's so good, but then he takes it and leaves. So hypothetically, he's not taking the whole lot. He's just taking a little bit off the top, I guess. Yeah, and then shipping the rest to like Loompa Land, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of,
I love the idea of an Oompa Loompa like shipping things, going to the postal service and be like, I need this sent to an island off the coast of Peru, please. Somebody will be there to find it.
I just like, because it's implied that he has a lot of gadgetry. Where does it come from? How's he build it? Who knows? But the point is that he has a lot of like access.
Yeah,
to a lot of things, and is capable of doing a lot of things. So I don't know. Like he gets it to him somehow.
I just kept thinking that the whole movie. I was like, okay, it's going on from like 4 to 5 years. He's done it multiple times, so that means he's like going back to the island and paying them, or is he just keeping them for himself and just like taking care of the debt? Like, what's going on? Yeah, you're right. It's probably not one of those things that we're, like, needing to focus on. It was just he was collecting a debt. But, of course, I had to think about it. Because I was like, are you storing that chocolate? Is there just a warehouse of Wonka's chocolate somewhere that he's going to eventually bring back to the island?
I guess. I'm like, maybe once the factory.
Am I thinking too hard about Willy Wonka and the Oompa Loompas?
I mean, because once the factory's built, I guess you can just like repay it to like double folds.
Well, then all the Oompa Loompas move in.
Yeah, that's true. That's funny enough. I like the the thing about Hugh Grant as the Oompa Loompa is that the CG on him is really good. It holds up really strong. But then like certain things with the chocolate doesn't. The chocolate looks like at times the chocolate looks just like goo. It doesn't even look like chocolate. It doesn't have the consistency of it. And maybe it's because they like had to like finish up the movie quick, or maybe they just like no one would really notice. But I was just like, it was one of those things where I'm like, this is a weird inconsistency because the character looks great. Hugh Grant's face meshes well with the character model, looks fantastic, but the chocolate, which should feel like should be the easiest thing to make out of all of the CG stuff, doesn't always look so good.
Yeah, like when they were showing the shop and the chocolate tree, sometimes the chocolate tree, the candy around it looked off. Like it looked very fake, but then you had people picking at stuff and it's like, well, I can tell which are definitely real for the actors to grab compared to the candy right next to it that's obviously fake. And why didn't you just make fake candy to stick in there? Why did you CGI it and put it next to real candy?
Especially with the hair stuff too, when they have to like when they have the hair growing.
Yeah.
Like or even the scales, like when they look like lizard people. Also, here's the thing. He's like, yeah, like eat this hover chalk and you'll fly. It'll wear off. Do they imply that it's like wear off in the sense that they'll land or that they'll just drop from the sky? Because that would also, I feel like that should shut his business down before anything else.
The only thing he had said for that was that it would wear off after the bug flies out of your ass.
Yeah, so yeah, but hypothetically, yeah, they would just fall and hurt themselves.
Does that mean you also use the bathroom up in the air?
I guess you could just like fart and then they would just leave at that point.
Or does it just fly it and then again you would just fall? Or maybe the bug floats down and is like, all right, I'm getting ready to exit. But also at the end,
look, I need you to be stable so I can get out there, get the hell up out of here. All right.
But also at the end, he implies because he gave them extra. So the villains, as they're getting away, they eat Wonka's chocolate. They're, all proud of themselves. But the candy was laced with those little flying bugs, extra strong, extra long flying bugs. And he's like, yeah, they'll come down. Yeah, they'll come down eventually. Maybe. I hope. Did you just float them up into like where they're gonna die in the atmosphere?
Right, they're gonna die.
The air is so thin because the air gets thin up there, man. You just suffocated them to death.
Maybe that's supposed to be the definition of the darkness that is Willy Wonka. You know what I mean?
You go. He's willing to murder people.
Deep down, he's like, yes, like treat me right, and I'll be nice to you. I might even let you live, but treat me wrong, and there's a possibility you might be floating. I mean, in the first movie, he does like have the like beer that has you float or whatever that almost leads to them floating into giant fans and dying. So,
oh my god, he does do death by flight, both films.
Yeah, so
I'd rather have that like fizzy pop drink that makes you float than a bug in my stomach like that.
Yeah, because it was like what, like root beer or something, or like a soda.
It was some soda. I don't remember. It was just that the bubbles made you float.
I really liked Olivia Colman as Mrs. Scrubbit. The dude played Tom Davis, who's the actor who played Bleacher. He was okay. I think I like his voice. I thought his performance was very silly, but in the right way. It's supposed to be silly. But I really enjoyed Olivia Colman especially as Mrs. Scrubbit, and the whole time in my head I was just thinking, why don't you play I think it's not Miss Ratchet, right? What is the name of the like lady in Annie who's like the mean housekeeper?
I don't recall. I'm trying to sing the song in my head. But yeah, she could play that character very well.
Miss Hannigan. That's
Miss Hannigan.
She would make a great Miss Hannigan.
Absolutely.
I would love to see her play Miss Hannigan, especially considering that the last Annie movie we got, friggin' Cameron Diaz was Miss Hannigan, and she was okay, but she was like this lady should have been Jamie Foxx, Olivia Colman. Yeah,
that one was bad.
It wasn't as great, but I would love to have seen Olivia Colman play Miss Hannigan, based off this performance, because she is great as this just mean nanny lady. Well, in this case, she's this mean like con woman.
Innkeeper, yeah.
Yeah, and she's great. She's really good. She just has the smarmy, like creepy smile down, but she also is, like, can be super sinister and scary.
Yeah, and the way she's able to like shift her performance between like, oh, don't worry about anything, dear, with that creepy smile to like, yeah, you're gonna be living in my laundry room forever. With such the shift in character was so well placed and felt real. Because you've met those people that like, I can tell there's something sinister behind you, but you're saying and behaving very sweetly. She did that so well. I actually like Bleacher a lot. I thought his performance was really well done, and I like how they implied the romance of the story way at the beginning, where Wonka was like, "Oh, you two are married," and she's like, "I would never marry him," and he's like, "Oh." He was so offended by that comment. He's like, "Oh," because he was always in love with her.
When he wears those pants, the Dungaroos,
the leader host. Yeah, I was dying. Every time they did a stretch, I was like, "Oh my god, I don't want to look." They really pointed the camera right at his thighs. They were in there with those Dungaroos.
Yeah, Willy Wonka got him where he's like, you want her eyes, show her little thigh.
I wasn't prepared for him to say thigh because he's like starting with the ankle and then the knee, and if you want to catch your eye, show her your thigh. I was like, they're not gonna really like have him showing his thighs, are they? Nope. He came in wearing that Bavarian, but was it Bavarian? Bavarian outfit.
Yeah, Bavarian, yeah.
Bavarian outfit and those eyes, and he did his stretches. He's like, I'm gonna warm myself in front of the fire, and it sticks like a leg up. It was just like, oh wow. And they got right in there with the camera, showed you his ankles, his knee, and those thighs. And then later on, he's also wearing that silky robe.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I actually love this
character.
The robe
made me laugh when he's just like, she answers the door and then he comes out in the room. I'm like, well, damn, is he getting it in or something? What's happening?
But what I love is that she's actually wearing a longer robe. So there was a longer robe option. He chose the short robe. He decided, yes, I'm going to keep my thighs out.
There are adult implications because also later when they're counting their money or whatever, before they get arrested, she says like the largest stack that's for new. She's like lingerie. And I was like, wow, they are not being shy about the fact that this woman is like, nah, I'd be out here. Just like, I'd be busting it open.
She belongs to the streets. Yeah, she did not care. Because they were like, oh yeah, we've seen her like fawn over every, Duke or Arch or whatever, and I was like, yeah, get what you get, girl. Don't be shy. You do you.
I mean, listen, if she can get it, why not? All this con money's got to go somewhere,
right? If you thinking about new lingerie, go for it. Some custom lingerie. I support you. Women support women. Although she did lock a bunch of people in her laundry room, I don't really support that part, but.
Yeah, funny enough, I think the supporting cast, while they're not like, I don't think any of them have anything memorable about any of their performances, but I think as an ensemble, they help carry the movie like together. Because I think the movie made the right choice to have it where all their scenes are with them together. None of them get their own individual scene because I feel like I would not care. Because this is a movie that could have easily been like we want to have some heart with these other characters, so let's have one of the characters have like a romance or something with another character, or let's like a couple of them talk about their families. Like, what if like one of the characters we see them break off and they go try and see their family? I'm like, no, I do not care. I don't want to know anything about these people's like backstory as far as like seeing it visually. Just tell me.
I was actually worried they were going to try to do some like will there, won't they with Wonka, because they did do that with Cruella. They did that with Cruella and that one of her henchmen, where they gave the vibes of like, are you? Yeah, where they were like, are you two going to be together? Because that was a lovely scene you just had there. Very, very romancy vibes. They didn't do that at all with Wonka. There was no like possible girl or anything like that.
I think it's because they didn't have any options. Because like he spends most of his time with Noodle, and Noodle is a child, so they're not gonna have him be with her. But then at the same time, he doesn't spend any time with any of the other grown women in the movie who are like part of the supporting cast, so we're not gonna have him hook up with them either.
Well,
so
they always find a way to force things, especially when it comes to like romance. It's like,
true.
oh, the young love, and it's like he's literally hiding and running away from the laundry people trying to enslave him, making chocolate by like the tons to make a whole chocolate tree for a shop. Where is his time? But no, they did it really well where they didn't have that influence. They didn't have that like one, quirky or quiet girl off to the side, silently supporting him. No, they had him mainly with the character or the actress who's playing Noodle, which a Noodle was adorable. She played her part really well. I really like how well they kept her pessimistic and realistic, but also, a little bit hopeful. She's like, I want to try to help you. Even after telling her about the little orange man with green hair. She's like, you're insane, but I have nothing better to do.
It's true. And it's like they do a great job having her be the person that brings the movie down to earth. Because I think Willy Wonka being the main character is cool and all, but him being kind of this aloof character they're trying to make him makes it hard for this movie to be taken seriously if you don't have a character like Noodle to kind of make it a little more grounded and capture a lot of the heart of this movie. Because definitely Willy Wonka is definitely like the entertainment of this movie. Noodle's the soul of this movie.
Definitely.
Like she, like without her, the movie I think doesn't work. But I think the best thing about this film and why I think it's really like where it's strongest is that this movie doesn't hold your hand very well. Like it definitely is meant for families, but it is not a kids movie. Like if that makes sense. Like they don't they like because you get the like we were talking about the cartel stuff where you can tell there's definitely a more adult implication with the cartel, but they use chocolate instead of cocaine or whatever. With Willy Wonka, like he doesn't have a romance, but you could tell that he like probably if he did meet a girl, maybe he'd be interested or whatever. But then it's like also they never tell you what happened to his mom, but you can tell off context clues what happened to his mom.
Yeah.
Like they trust the audience to just pick up on that. And even if you think it's something as simple as she's just missing, still, like you get the sense she's not around anymore. And
also the implication that she died when he was young, which is another reason he didn't have a better education, why he can't read, and while this obsession with chocolate as well came from.
Although that chocolate has lasted a long ass time.
It should have been white and grainy, honestly.
Right.
It should have been bad. It should have melted 10 times over because he runs a lot in this movie and he moves around a lot and he's keeping that like right here onto like his breast pocket.
And also,
so it's like
he's
that
like
should have
been
melted.
wet and like been like
he jumped into the water at the I do like the scene. Stepping away from Noodle real quick when the captain of the police force is trying to threaten him and he's dunking him in the fountain. And he's like, do you understand me? And he's like, not really. I have water in my ears now. And the captain's like, you're right. That's a bad move. Yeah, you're right. Okay. Well, here's the thing. I'm just, you're going to get more than a bonk on the head if you keep going, And he's like, I don't have a bonk on my head. He's like, there's been so much going on. I'm sorry. I'm just doing this all wrong. Takes out his baton. He's like, wait 1 second. The running gag that everybody who hits Willy Wonka is like, oh, hold on a second. He's like, yeah, sure. Whatever you need to do. Police captain hits him. Hugh Grant's character like, can you hand me that frying pan? He's like, yeah, sure. He's like, 1 second. Just come closer. And then whacks him. So everybody's just like, can you wait a second before I hit you in the head? So there was that running gag throughout the movie that I actually did like. Because some people are stupid like that. Like, just wait 1 second.
He's too
like,
trusting.
Yeah, sure.
He's too trusting of a person. Speaking of the Oompa Loompa, though, I do like the Easter eggs in this movie. Like I said before, they're very subtle, but they work very well. You got, of course, the imagination song is throughout the movie, like implied in the uh like theme of the movie in general in the soundtrack. But also you got the Oompa Loompa song, of course. The like bean that he finds is, I think that is the bean from, I think that might be the only one reference to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, because I'm pretty sure that's the same looking bean from that movie, from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Does that mean
like
he
as far
kept
as the
like one of
colors?
the beans? Yeah. Does he that
Yeah.
kept one of the beans?
Yeah.
Alright.
And then but then also the fact that when Willie opens the like chocolate his mom gave him, it's like the, of course the logo looks like the Wonka logo from the original movie, but also the paper she wrote on is a golden like piece of
Oh
paper,
yeah.
like a golden ticket, which I was like, that's cool. That's a nice like weird that's like an Easter egg, but it's one that you really have to be paying attention to see.
Yeah.
Otherwise you would not catch it.
He got his own golden ticket.
Yeah. And then of course, you know, they like once the factory is at the end of the movie, like the factory looks virtually just like the factory in the first movie. Just more CGified. Which that's another thing. The way the movie ends with the factory, in my head I was like, okay, but like, did you hire those people to work at the factory?
Right, I kept thinking that because I was like, yeah, but it kind of was implied that he didn't, because the quiet girl, I forget their names, one went back to doing telephone, one went back to his family in another part of England.
Mm-hmm.
The comedian guy went back on tour. I don't know about the plumber. I don't know what happened to her. I think she just went. Oh, she went back to her crew. So no, he didn't hire any of them. They all went back. It was in the end credits. The Oompa. Remember, Hugh Grant's Oompa Loompa came out
He
with
tells
like a
you
thing.
like what happened to all of them.
Yeah, so it was never implied that he hired anybody, but he does. If I recall, have human staff in the original movie, or at least he has one guy, his like lawyer.
He does have human staff because that's what happens to why he fires everybody, because I think Charlie's dad worked at the factory right before he got laid off.
I don't really recall the beginning of the first film, other than the joke about the grandparents. All about the grandparents not leaving the bed. And Kristen Stewart's SNL thing. Are you kidding me? I'm 9 years old. I had to drop out of school. And you guys could get up this entire time? I don't remember too much of Charlie's dad or anything like that, but I know he has human staff also in that film, because
but he does have
that guy helps him like give the message to the children that if you betray him and give me the candy, access his competitor. So he does have a human confidant, sort of.
Yeah, well, because that's why he closed the factory, is because the human people that worked for him were selling, like one of them sold one of his secrets.
Competitors.
Yeah, to one of his competitors.
Which is again ironic that he was so against the cartel, holding secrets of the chocolates, or holding the hostage. Well, what is it? They watered down the chocolate and then kept a supply of chocolate in a vault.
Sorry, hold on. My recording stopped for some reason. There we go.
Oh, come on, man.
Sorry, go ahead and say what you're gonna say. I'll probably.
I want to make sure it's all good. Yep, I am.
It's all good. I'll just I wasn't talking anyway, so I'll just cut. I'll just match cut. Oh, but can we clap again real quick so I can stick it back up again?
Actually, my recording stopped too for a while.
Really? How much time do you have on your recording? What does it say?
My recording stopped at 10 minutes.
Oh, no. It's okay. We can use the StreamYard audio, I'm sure.
Are you kidding me? Oh my god, that was still... It's actually normal levels too, so it's like hearing me properly. So I was like, oh, this is good. And then I went and put my screen as full screen. One day, the audio will be normal for me. Not today, clearly, but one day.
I will stop my recording then.
I'm so sorry, man.
No, it's fine because like everyone sounded good on the StreamYard thing, so I'm like on StreamYard so far, so I'm not worried about it too much.
I'm a little pissed
But
off.
anyway, what
Cutting
did you
that out.
like? What did you think about Timothée Chalamet? Because I gave my thing on Timothy. Like I feel like he's the main thing, and we haven't really gotten to him as far as his performance, rather than like what the character did in the movie.
I think for the Willy Wonka they wanted to present, they chose well for the actor. I think Timothée Chalamet did really well in his representation, where he's not supposed to be the brokenhearted, creepy version that is Gene Wilder's character, but his own, like, really trusting. And Timothée Chalamet has like a kind of a soft face, so it showed that that's he's softer. You know, he's more open to people and acceptance and, you know, the kindness of strangers and all that. I will give you that his singing kind of is a little lackluster. There isn't any moments where he comes in very powerful, like some of the musicals have that really powerful, you know, song or moment, and he doesn't really have that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think his singing is very sturdy for what it is. It doesn't break. There's no inconsistencies. He's not like flat or bland in any of the scenes. He does it well, but there's just no powerful moment in any of those scenes.
There's no range. It's kind of very one note.
Yeah, it does. It's just it just stays there. But I think he did a really good job. His performance was really good. His choreograph was really good. He really did, you know, because you've ever seen some of those musicals where the actors are just doing this while like the backup dancers are doing everything. He really does move. He really does tap dance. You know, he does a lot of the work, which I was really impressed by his tap dancing, especially with that one scene with him and that guy on the table. That was some pretty good skills. You know, so I think Timothée Chalamet did a very good job of playing his own Wonka. And I'm very happy. Because also, another thing with these like prequels that I hate, when they have a younger version, they make them a little bit more with sex appeal than they should be. You know, they're like, did I really need to see this sexy version of this character? No. There wasn't a need for any of that. But they really kept his character as Wonka. You know, they didn't have any of these moments where like that was completely for the female audience. You know, they're trying to be like, oh, look how attractive he is. They didn't do any of that. I'm very happy they didn't.
Yeah, you don't have a scene with Willy Wonka's shirt off and someone
or
look at his muscles.
Or something a lot of like movies love to do in TV shows. They like to put an attractive guy in a white shirt and dunk him in water. And so when he's getting out of the water, it's the white shirt. You'd find that in almost every movie where the love interest is trying to be like, I don't find him attractive. He comes out of the water in a white shirt, you know, drenched. You'll find that in every single like rom-com, even period piece going on. Pride and Prejudice does it. He doesn't have any of those moments. He is simply Wonka. And he's focused on his chocolate. But I think he did a great performance, and his whimsicalness really shined through.
Yeah, I will say the scenes when he's just talking, he's good. I do think it's still a little inconsistent with like how the quirkiness kind of like, or more specifically, I noticed it when it was the line of like, he goes from this very serious conversation about how him and Noodle are like basically trapped there forever. And then it goes into that scene that's in all the trailers of like, what are you doing? Make a chocolate, of course. How do you like it? Nutty, kind of like kooky, little insane. And I'm just like, what the fuck did that just come from just now? We just went from this very, very real, serious conversation, and now all of a sudden you're like a completely different person right now. What is happening? And So it's stuff like that where I was like, I feel like they want to have their cake and eat it too. They want him to be the kooky, kind of insane Willy Wonka, like Gene Wilder, but they also want him to be a little more serious and down to earth because it's supposed to be like, well, firstly, because it's Timothée Chalamet's version of this character, but also it's supposed to be like the beginning. He doesn't have the factory yet and all that stuff. He's just a regular guy who just is really good at making chocolate. And so I'm like, you can't do that though. You got to pick one or the other. Either he's insane or he's a regular guy who's just a little aloof. One is not the other.
I don't know, because like being with my mom this week, I had like this really serious conversation with her that we needed to have, and then right after I was like, okay, let's go. We got started. Like I was like, oh, look at Cheddar. Look how cute he is. Like, so I had that emotional shift in my personal life. So I understood Wonka, where you had that really serious moment, and then you're like, so what next? So you just move to the next thing, which he knows is chocolate. That's his source of comfort. But I thought it was some of the scenes where he is very serious were kind of nice, because it shows that he does not necessarily, he's not, what's the word? Not ignorant, but he's not completely like naive to the world. He understands there is this, bad in the world. This is this darkness. There is this thing where even he can't fix with chocolate, so he tries to fix what he can with chocolate. Like the silver lining thing. He doesn't ever throughout the movie say, hey, we're going to find your mom. You're going to get your mom back or anything like that. He's like, well, we'll get you out of here and we'll find you someplace better. That's the silver lining. We'll get you out of here. It's not, we're going to find your mom. We're going to find you a better home. We're going to do this. It's the silver lining was simply, Noodle, we're getting you out of this place. So yeah, I think that kept it pretty good. What?
The mom thing was like the darkest part of this movie, where I'm like, I thought you were evil, but I didn't know you were this evil. God dang. Yeah,
I was shocked by the laundry chute thing. I was like, what? You put her in a bag and down a laundry chute.
And then he's just like, and then I gave your mom like some money or something. What was her name? Shoot, I don't know. I didn't ask her name. I don't give a damn.
Yeah, that was like, very dark.
Dang, like how evil do you need to be that you can't even be bothered to take care of your brother's daughter?
I also think it was a little weird. She probably knows how this man is, and she just willingly gave her child to this man and like left, went home, and came back the next day and be like, oh yeah, she's dead, by the way. Bummer. Here's some stuff. No investigation or anything like that, being like, well, where's my child's body or something like that. Yeah, it's just, your child's gone. Bye.
I guess he figured that maybe she asked the chief of police and he was already in their pocket by that point. So he's like, yeah, I'll search. And then it was like, oh, well, never mind.
I think it was just dark how he threw her down a laundry chute in a bag. That was like messed up.
For me, it's just the whole scenario, the whole fact of like, my brother died, and then I took his daughter and took my niece and threw her down a laundry chute, and then made the mother think she was dead. And then after I found out she was still alive, paid for like this woman to keep her there for even longer, for all of her entire lifetime.
That's true. Yeah, that plot, now thinking about it more, was very dark. And then the coldness of, I don't know your mom's name. Like, damn. Why? Don't you need an heir to the throne too? I never understood that. People are like,
there's only going to be me forever.
I never understood that, because it's like, after you die, then where does all your money go if you don't have a next in line? It goes back to the government. That's where everything goes. It goes back to the government. Or to his two company rival, or his friends, or whatever they were. Oh my god, I like how they had one of the cartel guys, every time somebody said poor, he gagged.
Yeah. Like
he doesn't like the word poor.
Yes. The thing that I thought was would have been interesting, even though it never happened. Not that it makes the movie bad. It's just something I thought of. I was like, how come none of them at any point tried to hire Willy Wonka? Like, if the man makes dynamite chocolate, why don't you just hire him?
Because probably Willy Wonka would have said no or make it accessible. One of their things was he's making it easy for the poor to get chocolate because it only costs a shilling, and they were just against that.
True. Like,
I
feel like
because one of the things they did say was like, oh, magic. Chocolate's supposed to only have like one ingredient or two ingredients. He's making too much. He's being too extra.
Yeah, with salty caramel and marshmallow and all types of stuff. I mean, how dare he put that in there? Which I think it's funny that it has to be like, it can't just be marshmallow and it can't just be salty caramel. It has to be like marshmallow from this legendary mountain at the edge of this like random jungle, and caramel that was made but using the milk of this random animal or whatever. And I'm like, bitch, just get regular stuff.
But you kind of figure out now where all his money has gone. I mean, he only has 12 shillings. From the Himalayas, it's salt. Oh, what is it? It's salt from baby sea turtles' tears. Where did you go that there were baby sea turtles crying? Clearly, you have money. Had you just, I don't know, saved a little bit and got one or two things, you could have invested in a shop properly and maybe with time gotten more ingredients.
This man makes a candy that is basically a roofie.
Yeah. Oh, I said the same thing to my mom. I was like, did he just drug the security guard? Is that what occurred?
Yep. Yeah. Just like
I think that was another adult moment where he's like, yeah, experience a night out. First, here's the wine. Then here's the rum where you're having too much fun. And then the brandy. And then the whiskey center where you just knock out. It's like, you just could have given that man alcohol poisoning. You don't know what he's had to drink tonight. But you gave him like 5 hard liquors. Right, one after the other.
I did love that plot actually came around. Like, I thought it was just going to be a throwaway joke. I didn't expect it to lead into a story arc where you find out that the woman he's in love with is also like the head of security.
Yeah, for the cartel.
The vault. Although I wanted to see her do some karate moves. They set that up with the like animation where it's like she's like a ninja, and then like we don't ever get to see her do ninja stuff. And I was like, oh man, that's a missed opportunity.
I like how Noodle even points it out. She's like, what are the chances that that they're the same person? She was so excited that they ended up together too.
Although this man is clearly like a magician. Like, not a magician.
Well,
he says he's a magician. I meant like a god. He's clearly a god. The man has a hat that has like unlimited space that he has like multiple teapots and things inside of. The cane can do anything to the point where even sometimes when he puts it down, it just stands upright while he's just while he's standing around or he's waiting to use it on something. I'm like, what the hell is it? You're the devil. You're the devil. You're making chocolate using dark magic tree, black magic or something. And you're out here feeding people demon chocolate.
For 1 shilling. I thought that was also weird. I was like, this kind of giving Mary Poppins vibe. Why didn't he just go live in his hat or something? I mean, I feel like he could have probably forced himself.
That is a fair point. He could have done it like Fantastic Beast or something. He just lives inside of his chocolate factory case or something like that.
Yeah. He's
just like, I just need the factory because I need more space.
But he had like the whole little factory in that suitcase too, where he's like, here's all my natural ingredients. Where did the rest of his clothes go? If that was in his briefcase, was all the chocolate stuff. Where were the rest of his clothes? In the hat?
I don't think he has the rest of his clothes. I'm pretty sure he just wears the same thing every day. It's the same clothing. He just washes it, I guess.
And then you're going to tell me the chocolate didn't melt in his pockets. That man is wearing the same clothes every day.
He uses chocolate to clean it. He has a chocolate that's like a laundry, full of laundry, like wash and dry in one. He just splashes on the clothing, and then it just like fixes everything. I don't know.
I feel like he smells disgusting.
Probably.
Because he has like one clothes. And then you ever meet those people that like are, I'm going to wear this sugar cookie smelling perfume. I feel like he smells like that. Where it's like you smell like you like ran around in cookies and chocolate. And I don't want to be around you because that's such a strong smell. It's going to be too much. So you smell weird. Either intensely like chocolate or intensely like you have not washed your clothes in many, many days.
Well, also chocolate is weird in this universe where they use chocolate for like not past just how the chocolate cartel is uses chocolate. Also, chocolate is like just a common thing that they just have like in various forms. Because like at the end of this movie, they're drinking chocolate. And here's the thing, audience: have you ever drank a cup of chocolate? It's not good, and it's not chocolate. Chocolate milk is milk with like chocolate flavoring in it. Or if you go like the classic route, like, some Hershey's chocolate syrup mixed in, but it's mixed in. The milk is really the base, and then chocolate's just a part and an ingredient. These people are drinking just straight chocolate, and drinking chocolate, it's just thick. It's hard to get down. Even chocolate milk, again, or not chocolate milk, hot chocolate is chocolate powder mixed with milk or water.
That's like a good point. And also, even like going back to the Hershey syrup one, if you put too much, it's really rich.
Right.
And it's not drinkable, and it even kind of burns a little bit because of all the sugar. Like, too much sugar will actually burn you. And I've had that experience where I've eaten something so rich, I'm like, it tastes like it's trying to fry my taste buds a little bit. It was so much sugar in it.
The whole time I was just like, that can't be good. Like, they're pouring whole cups of it. I'm like, that's a whole cup of chocolate, pure chocolate.
Maybe it's mixed with the water because it goes through the plumbing system.
I guess. I mean, it does have the consistency of something like chocolate milk, but I think that's just because in the movie, for the sake of like, it has to look that way. Like also, behind the scenes.
If you think about it, do you recall if they had walkie-talkies on them? Because they changed their plans like 5 times in like that end part of how he became alive. How were they able to communicate so well? And they were in so many different parts because they were underneath. And while also this is going on, all in the morning, that one telephone girl is searching for the girl's mom. She called like 105 people. Let's say she just calls 50 people. Like after the 50 people, she just finally finds the one person. And you're telling me also this mom, again, decides not to be like, where's my damn child that I've been missing for 7 years? No, okay, I'll wait here at the library for her when the strange dancing man who makes chocolate will bring her by. I'd be like, I'm going to go get my kid. She's been left alone with this man who talks about orange green men.
Although I'm pretty sure if you were, because here's the thing, like I mean I don't know, maybe they can hold their breath for a long time, but they were in that chocolate for a minute. Like even if the Oompa Loompa showed up, it's still gonna take him a sec to get in the elevator, have it go down, then fly over, then like pull the lever in order to get them out.
Also,
they should be dead.
They should have been dead. They were also swimming in chocolate. That's, again, a thick consistency. They can't just, like, if they breathe that in, they're gonna die. Because that's a thick fluid to fill your lungs or, anything. So they would have died pretty quickly in chocolate.
Yeah.
And also, if this was a reserve for the chocolate cartel to have, they've now kind of contaminated their supply of chocolate with 2 dead bodies. 2 people clearly who do not bathe often. You've now contaminated with hair, dead skin cells, dirty clothing, whatever the hell that man's hiding in his hat, a whole household of appliances going on. You've contaminated every single drop. Because you wanted their death to be ironic.
I feel like nobody would want it. That's old chocolate. There's a reason when chocolate, like stores and stuff, make their chocolate, they like keep it frozen. if
Yeah.
they want to preserve it, if it's old chocolate, and if it's new chocolate, they want to like if there's no place to freeze it, they more or less kind of just like either
Well,
keep it frozen so they could sell it again, or if they can't, they throw it out. It's no good anymore.
well, so dark chocolate will actually last a very long time. It is
That's true. Dark
it is
chocolate
the
lasts.
milk and sugar that is constantly causing the chocolate to go bad. However, in the movie, that is definitely not a dark chocolate. That is milk chocolate. That is
Yeah.
clearly milk chocolate. So it's like,
Especially how
okay.
like flowy it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dark chocolate is straight dark. So this is definitely milk chocolate, which means you have a dairy product in there that's going to eventually spoil, even if it's powdered milk. And then you have the sugar that's definitely going to get crystallized, which is that white substance you see on old chocolate. So what you have there, yeah, it would eventually start looking like powdery stuff going on in that room with the old chocolate.
Yeah.
Also,
That chocolate's not sellable anyway.
what are they doing with that reserve anyway?
It's implied that they're like that's what they're using to bribe people. That's how come they can give the chief of police like so many boxes of chocolate.
Oh,
But my thing is I'm like, I mean, there's got to be somebody who's like, man, forget all this damn chocolate. Where the money at? like pay me.
That's true too.
I don't want this. I don't want to get paid in candy. Do I look like a Dentyne commercial to you? You can't pay me in gum. Give me the money.
Even the cleric gets paid in chocolate. What is it? They have, again, this is like heavy tones of like the cartel and cocaine. Basically, chocolate is cocaine in this universe.
Yeah, basically.
Because they have 500 monks that are chocoholics.
Yep, and they'll do anything for that chocolate. They'll
even
I
murder.
mean anything. They'll murder people.
Maybe there is white substance in that chocolate. That's the only explanation for what's going on.
That was my joke when the kid Willy Wonka's like, Mom, nobody makes chocolate like you. What's your secret? And I'm like, the secret's cocaine.
I mean, honestly, they look like they might be in Peru and Colombia, and some of the good sources are in those countries.
The coca leaves.
Yeah, the coca leaves. They were once popular. During that time period, I believe Coca-Cola was invented, and it was okay. There was
That's
cocaine
true. Back
wine.
then, cocaine was an anesthetic in hospitals.
Yeah, and there was also cocaine wine. There was Coca-Cola, the soda, using cocaine. So, like, it's not that far off that maybe that's why people were like, I'll be paid in chocolate. That's perfectly fine. I could see that.
Grades. What are you giving this movie as a grade?
I'm giving this movie a B. I wish the musical numbers were more memorable. I think they were fitting for the movie. They did well where they were placed, and I think all they were all in range of what the actors could do. However, I didn't feel like any of them were like definitely, one of those musical songs I'm gonna just start singing off the top of my head or anything like that.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, but it was still a good film. You could bring your young kids to it and they wouldn't know anything. The teenagers definitely will. They'll definitely get all the reference. They'll figure out quickly. But like if you're trying to take your kids somewhere, or like with me going with just my mom, we had a nice time. It's minus the dark tones. It is still a cute movie. It's very colorful, very vibrant. So that was enjoyable. There was nothing too dark in it where you were like, wow, this shouldn't have been in a kid's movie at all. You know what I mean? Or at least nothing too laid out like that. And I think it was a cute story for Willy Wonka. I do like the direction they went in with the Oompa Loompas. I think it is feel like a bit of a lie, but I see what they were trying to do. But all in all, the movie gave me just such heavy of, again, that you die young, you die a hero, to you live long enough to see yourself become the villain, and that's who he became. He became kind of one of the cartels, protecting his secrets, blocking off everybody, tricking people with contracts like he was tricked, not trusting children, leading children to almost their death, which is heavily implied in the Wonka movies. So, but all in all, it was still just a fun movie to see, and not what I was expecting at all. So I was pleasantly surprised with that. What about you, Jerome?
I'm giving this a B minus. I think this movie is a lot of fun. It is definitely a great time for the family. And it's nice to have a Willy Wonka movie that where there's nothing creepy or scary about it. It's just a fun
I think
movie.
the bugs, the eggs, candies,
I
flying
mean,
bugs in your
in
stomach was creepy.
implication, yes, but you don't actually see it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because if this was the Charlie
Yeah.
and the Chocolate Factory movie, you would have seen the bugs hatch or something. And with the Willy Wonka movie, it just would have been Willy Wonka being like super sketchy the whole time of like, come on,
Being like,
go
oh
ahead,
no.
take a candy.
That's
It's
true.
like you know what I mean, this is the perfect balance. Everything is whimsical and fun and great. And but at the same time, this movie does have moments that are definitely more serious, more adult, a little more mature, but not to the point where you know your kids can't still watch it and understand what's going on. Just that it like helps make the movie more than what you would normally expect from a movie like this, especially this relying on such an old property that I didn't honestly think we were getting another movie out of, but has like is doing like you know definitely utilizes it well. This doesn't feel like a cash grab. This feels definitely like they had an idea, they were inspired to tell a story about Willy Wonka, and they executed that really well. So I think you know this movie is a good time. It's just those minor things that keep it from being great, but overall, I think it's an okay movie. Um, and at least you know for those moments that are like nice and that supporting cast that is really strong, I think that it helps make the movie something that you definitely do want to check out. If not in theaters, at the very least, like at home with your kids, sitting down on the couch.
All
So
in.
that is our review of Wonka. Comment below if you're watching this on YouTube. Tell us what you thought. And if you're not, you're listening to this, hit us up on our social medias at the first ones to die on all our social media platforms and tell us what you thought of Wonka. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Uh, were you in the middle? Did you take your family to go see it? If you did see it, let us know. But before we go, as always, socials. Alex, where can people find you?
You can find me at Alex and Nobody on Instagram and on TikTok. You can also find me on the podcast TikTok, The First Ones to Die, where I post little clips of our episodes or things we may be doing or things I just randomly do sometimes because I get bored. You can also find us on all our social media platforms, Instagram, again, TikTok, X. I don't like calling it that. Threads, at The First Ones to Die, where we post again updates, clips, and just things we may be doing without the week, trying to update you about our lives and about the podcast as well. Where are we finding you, Jerome?
You can find me at Not Jerome Red on Instagram, and also thinking of other places you can catch catch the podcast at. Go on over to the YouTube channel if you're not already there. Subscribe, please, and check out some other exclusive content that you cannot find on the audio streaming platforms. Stuff like mini reviews, book reviews, gaming content, vlogs, all types of stuff. Right now, we're uploading episodes of our Monster Camp playthrough, as well as some other stuff that's going up there soon. So be on the lookout for some of the extra content and, you know, like, favorite, share, all those things. And also, if you want to follow Jonathan, who was on the episode earlier, you can follow him at Jonathan Keys on Twitter, Instagram, wherever you please, as he would say. So you can catch him there. But tune in next week for our Christmas special. We got some great stuff planned for you. Probably also going to be dressed up in a little bit of costume. We might be a little more festive. So, you know, in honor of the Christmas season, get ready because we're going to be doing a full double review. We won't tell you what the movies are yet, but just know Christmas classics, and you're going to want to hear what we have to think about them. So check that out next week. But until then, have a good night, good day, good morning, good afternoon, whenever you're listening to this. And we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.